At this point, we are going to create an agent that provides assistance in a shopping mall, helping users to solve different needs. The shopping mall, called Saya Mall, needs to automate the tasks related to customer service, helping with different queries, such as general inquiries about their services, information about their stores, movie listings and ticket sales, etc. This agent will be composed of different assistants, which will make it possible to solve all these needs. Malorchestrator is a chat assistant whose objective is to identify the user's intent through the query and assign the assistant capable of resolving it. The movie ticket sales assistant is an API assistant capable of responding to movie theater transactional information through different API methods. The Mall General Information Assistant is a RAG assistant that uses documents with general information about the services and stores in the mall. And then, the Fallback Assistant is another chat assistant enabled to answer general questions outside the scope of the mall. All these assistants will be integrated in a flow called Mall Customer Assistant, which will manage to articulate them in order to solve all user queries. Okay, let's go to the Globant Enterprise AI backoffice. Let's start with the Orchestrator Assistant, which, as we have already said, is a chat assistant, and we have already created it. Let's see its prompt. It indicates that the assistant is an LLM designed to assist with a wide range of tasks, from answering simple questions to providing in-depth explanations and discussions on a wide range of topics. It can generate human-like language text from the information it receives, enabling it to engage in conversation and provide coherent answers relevant to the topic at hand. The assistant is constantly learning and improving, and its capabilities are constantly evolving. It can process and understand large amounts of text and use this knowledge to provide accurate and informative answers to a wide range of questions. In short, the assistant is a very helpful mall customer service agent. It is friendly, but always follows the rules. The Saya Shopping Mall has a movie theater, and the reservation of movie tickets must be handled through the ticketing assistant, so this assistant should not invent a reservation process. Then the today and name variables obtained from the context are indicated, and the other assistants to be considered are indicated according to the user's query. Movie Ticket Sales Assistant provides access to ticket and snack sales in the movie theater of the mall. It can show available movies and schedule, select seats, and book tickets. Snacks can also be purchased during the reservation. It is established that in order to book movie tickets correctly, this assistant must be called. It is then indicated that the Mall General Information Assistant provides a detailed description of the mall's offerings, facilities, and policies. It encompasses its mission, dining and entertainment options, and architectural design of the site. Key amenities include free Wi-Fi, restrooms, wheelchair rentals, etc. It also describes accessibility features for people with disabilities and parking details. Information on business opportunities, advertising, and contact details for customer service and emergencies are provided. Finally, as a format for the answer, it is indicated it should only answer with the name of the assistant in plain text and nothing else, and that it should not invent names of assistants. Okay, let's create the two assistants mentioned before, Movie Ticket Sales Assistant and Mall General Information. Movie Ticket Sales Assistant and Mall General Information. Movie Ticket Sales Assistant will be an API assistant in charge of movie theater management. In the prompt, we indicate that this is a movie theater assistant that helps a user buy a ticket. It should greet the user and then respond in a brief, conversational, and friendly tone. It should always start the conversation by explaining that it is a movie theater assistant and explaining the tasks it can perform. Get available movies, get the movie schedule, and book a movie ticket. It must request the movie the user wants to watch. The date, number of tickets, and seat selection. It must provide all the information and request confirmation. Finally, it must create the order. Once the instructions are given, we paste the corresponding JSON with the specifications and methods of the API and indicate the LLM settings. Model, GPT-4, temperature, 030, and maximum number of tokens, 8,000. We validate the API and save. We indicate name description and confirm. Let's now continue with the creation of the Mall General Information Assistant. This assistant will need to query the information recorded in a series of documents, so we created a RAG assistant. We enter name, description, and indicate that it will be based on the default RAG assistant. Now we select the update option. In the prompt, we indicate that it is a useful artificial intelligence assistant specialized in answering questions about general information on the Saya shopping mall, and that it should use the following context to answer the final question. If it doesn't know the answer, it should simply say that it doesn't know and should not make up an answer. If the question is not related to the context, it should politely respond that it only answers questions related to the context. In the LLM settings, we indicate 0 in the temperature and 8,000 in the maximum tokens. We confirm, and to load the documents, we go to the option Add Documents. Add Files. Once selected, we click on Start Upload. Let's review where we are. We have defined the Orchestrator Assistant, the assistant in charge of movie theater management, and the assistant that provides general information. We need to control the possibility of the user making a query outside this scope, and for that, we need another assistant to solve it. We then create another chat assistant, and in the prompt, we indicate that it is a customer service assistant for shopping malls. It is required to respond respectfully to any questions it is asked, and it can use the conversation history that may be in HTML format as a source of answers. It is also indicated to avoid making things up. In the settings, we indicate the model, the values 0.20 in the temperature and 1024 in the maximum tokens. We save and indicate name and description. Well, we already have in our project the set of assistants needed to provide assistance to the users of the shopping mall. We are in a position to create the flow capable of articulating and connecting them in a way that can provide the solution we are looking for. We go to the Flows option and create a new flow named Mall Customer Assistant. We enter a brief description and the English language. We define the initial greeting and format it. Always striving to provide users with the best and most complete information, we also want to give them the opportunity to learn about the technology that makes this assistant possible. So let's enable a link for them to discover Globant Enterprise AI. And while we can solve this functionality with various interactions, in this case, we choose to use a card. So, in the interaction section, we select card and drag it to its position in the flow. We load an image. And define two buttons, Movie and Services, and discover Globant Enterprise AI. The Movie and Services button will have an associated event through which we will connect with the defined assistants. We create an event named Movie and Services. We associate an external link with the Discover Globant Enterprise AI button and indicate the corresponding URL. Remember that a button associated with an external link does not generate a line in the flow. Good. We have already defined the interaction. Let's focus on the line associated with the Movie and Services button defined on the card. When the user clicks on this button, we want to greet them. So we add a new message node and format the text. We then connect to the user input node that will receive the user's query in the last user input variable. This query will be analyzed by the orchestrator assistant, who in turn will decide which assistant is the right one to answer it. So in the assistant node, we indicate the SAML orchestrator assistant. The input variable is last user input, which contains the user's query, and specify orchestrator response as the output variable. Good. We arrive at the exact point where the path is split according to the name of the assistant contained in this orchestrator response variable. The value in this variable can be movie ticket sales assistant, more general information, or none of them. In order to make this evaluation, we need a conditional component. We select it and drag it to its position in the flow. We evaluate the first possible expression, that the orchestrator response variable is equal to movie ticket sales assistant. If so, we must connect to this assistant, so we drag an assistant node and define it. This assistant receives the user's query in last user input and returns the response in the same variable. We add a goTo node, which allows us to continue the conversation by returning to the initial user input node. Another possible expression to evaluate is that the variable orchestrator response is equal to more general information. We then add a new condition and indicate the expression. In this case, it must be connected to the RAG assistant, so we drag and define the corresponding node. We also add the goTo node that returns the user input node to allow the user to continue the conversation. But there is another possible case when the user makes a query totally outside the scope of what is related to the shopping mall. In this case, the flow will follow the else line, which will connect to the fallback assistant. We define the node and also add its corresponding goTo node. In this case, it will return to the card to enable a new selection of options. Very good. We have completed our flow and now we can test its behavior. We save the changes and go to the test window. First, we ask about places available to eat. Okay, I also want to go to the movies. What can I watch? We choose Barbie. We select the date, time, number of tickets, row, and seats. We thank the assistant and ask if parking is available. Let's now ask a question that is off topic. What is the closest planet to the Sun? It answers correctly and returns to the card to allow a new selection. Let's discover Globant Enterprise AI. Perfect. We're satisfied with our mall customer assistant, so we can display it, for example, on a web page. For this, we go to the configuration option and request a website type application key. We indicate the name and save. We obtain the script and copy it. We can edit the page code and paste this script, or do a quick test using the browser's developer tools. We then access the corresponding web page and go to the developer tools. We choose the console and paste the script. From now on, it is possible to modify and customize the script to adjust the behavior and appearance of the assistant as we wish.